All right, we're live. Say hello.
All right, what's up? What's up, Miami Facebook?
Frankie Ruiz. What's up, brother? Oh, the awkward hug. It's okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you're watching today, episode number 52 of TheCloserClub. What's really cool about today is we get to interview a good longtime buddy of mine. Let me see, Alejandro. My son is 21. He's about to be 22. And that's when I met you guys. I met you, Frankie, right when my son was born. So it's going on 20 plus years. If there's anybody that knows Miami, it's Frankie. Let me just tell you a little bit about this guy. Every time around the end of January, there's that little marathon they call the Miami Marathon, formerly ING, that goes throughout downtown and South Beach and the Gables and all that. Yeah, this guy found it. If you're in Brickell, South Beach, or Kendall or whatever, and you see those run clubs with 300-400 people running through downtown and Brickell and all that, it's this guy right here. And today we have a cool concept or cool questions related to fitness and business and mindset. So implore us for 10, 15 minutes. You ready?
Let's do this.
All right, let's do it.
Right.
Frankie, you started at Belen and FIU. That's where I met you, FIU. Right. You became the founder of one of Miami's biggest sporting events, the Miami Marathon, while creating the world's largest run club, which I owe a lot to in my life, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. You've opened your own store, Soul Runners, all happening right here in Miami. And you are a true Miamian inside and out. Tell us a little bit about your path to how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, man.
And you may have to speak up because
I guess I'm Miami bred, right? So I'm born and raised here. I don't think I've left for more than a couple weeks at a time. Yeah. Maybe for my honeymoon, that was one of the longest times I've been outside of Miami. So definitely been living and breathing this place for a long time. But I don't know, man. I started off at a very young age running, obviously. My dad invited me on a run probably when I was about 10 years old, and I kind of stuck with it since and got into the sport a bit, high school, all that good stuff. Ran a little bit at FIU.
Did you actually run for FIU?
Yeah, I did. I did a couple of years there. I can call myself a former collegiate athlete. Sure. Didn't do a whole lot of damage there, but nonetheless, I high jumped and I did the 800 and tried a little bit. But throughout that, I guess sort of, I don't want to call it finding yourself, but just realizing what your career path is. I always knew that gathering lots of people was something that energized me, right? It kind of filled me up with I don't know, a spirit of purpose, accomplishment, satisfaction, and one of the first things I got sort of into was right after Hurricane Andrew. What was that, 92, I think? 92, freshman in high school. Yeah. I realized it was all this garbage lying around our neighborhood, and we weren't in school because we've been out of school for a couple weeks or whatnot. And with my neighbor, we just kind of decided that we were going to use this stuff to build a haunted house. And that was my first kind of taste of creating, sort of something chaotic, event-related, that gathered a lot of folks. And a couple years later, there'd be 1,000 people lined up in front of my parents' house waiting to get into this free haunted house because we wouldn't charge much for it. And eventually we charged a little bit for it. We did charity work through it. I kept it going, 5 or 6 years. And really? And I realized, all right, I want to get myself into production of events. And shortly thereafter, I got involved with a fitness festival here in Miami Beach. It's actually a fitness festival I'd like to say was sort of ahead of its time. It was called the Miami Beach Fitness Festival, an Italian group. Still connected to those folks. They did that event here 2 or 3 years, actually 3 or 4 years, and got hooked up with that. Produced a 5K with them, and cut all the middle stuff in between then and where I am now. Yeah. But started producing running events.
There you go. So I got to ask this question. I didn't know you ran the 800. I ran the 800 in high school. I went to States.
Don't ask me the time because I can't say that. And computers weren't around back then, so people can't look it up.
Okay, so what do you remember? Give me sub 2 for sure.
No. Low 2. That's it.
Low 2? No, bullshit.
Low 2. Man, I'm not. That's the one misconception.
I ran a 158.
No, you're faster than me. But the one misconception people have of me that I'm this fast runner, actually I always like to throw that out there because you don't have to be the fastest or the best in your particular field to still be a part of it, right? Sure. You can strive to be it, and that's fine. But I coach runners that are a ton faster than I am. I produce events for runners that are a whole lot faster than I am. But I still run. I'd like to say that at 40 years old now I'm starting to kind of be,
in your own, right?
yeah, be a little bit ahead of the crowd because everyone's, kind of falling behind a bit. But I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but I'm not gonna give. The kids I coach are gonna make fun of me.
It's bragging rights. All right, fair enough. I'll tell you something. My son,
I'm a longer distance runner.
I hear, there was a guy, Pat Grover, he's like one of these celebrity entrepreneur guys. Yeah, I think he coached Jordan and Kobe and all that. And the guy that just won the London Marathon, and there's that saying, life is a marathon, not a sprint or whatever. So he referred to that race, and I think he averaged 4:15 a mile.
Yeah,
for the marathon.
A little bit slower, but yes,
but it was 4:18, 4:20, whatever it was.
Crazy.
And he goes, the next time you say marathon, life is a marathon, not a sprint. Go try and run a mile in 4 and change.
Yeah, and he actually just announced yesterday, Kipchoge, that he will be attempting to break 2 hours in the marathon.
In Miami?
No, be too hot here. No, in October in London, they're saying. So,
interesting. All right, cool. So let's talk about that, because you guys, and that's a great segue into the next question. Because you are, as a result of your involvement in the Miami Marathon, he coaches at Belen. I know all my cousins went to Belen, where you've led.
Why didn't you get in Belen?
Dude, all boys school? Kidding me, man? I don't know how you got. I rag on them still to this day. I don't know how you did it. But you led the Belen cross country team, where you coached them to 9 state championships. You're around these guys that are running marathons in just over 2 hours. So you've been surrounded with some world-class athletes, and I think there's a lot of similarities between successful athletes and successful business people. If you were to give a common denominator among that, what would you say? What's that common denominator when it comes to mindset with these people?
I mean, I think there's obviously a ton of different ways you can describe a champion, but I don't know, the top kids I've coached all seem to understand that they're competing for something bigger than themselves, right? And I think that is something often forgotten in business and life. We feel like it's all about me and all about that person's own struggle and that person's own accomplishment. And the kids that I can admire as a coach and the athletes that I can admire throughout the years are those that have just thought that there's a bigger gain here. That their success will inspire something bigger. Either it's a team championship or it's that next runner that will be inspired to run that well so that they can get a scholarship or something, something of that sort. Very rarely do I find that selfish athlete lasts a very long time at the top. The ones that are perennials, that they came in as a freshman and killed it as a freshman and then still are killing it in college. And those all have that sort of common thread, that they just think a little bigger. And then I'd say second to that, which is kind of my own personal mantra, is this idea that they just don't stop. You don't stop getting better. Everything you do moves you closer to being that much better than you were yesterday. And that constant striving, that living by that don't stop mantra is true in business, and it's true in sports.
Got it. So strive for something bigger than yourself and keep running. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Now, I personally have been able to do this, and I'd love to hear your advice on this as well, where you've been able to mix the business and fitness aspect. What advice can you give the audience on how best to get business out of fitness?
Yeah, man. A lot of folks are always, like, oh, Frankie, you do what you love, right? And I wish I was doing that. And every time they say that, I think how blessed I am to be involved in something that I enjoy. I also think I'm more blessed to be a part of something so special and something more than me, which is what I think running and sports is. But I don't know, like, I think you look for that point of energized, that energized feeling. What is it that's giving you more life, right? Much like fitness, like the more you work out, the more alive you feel, right? Maybe not initially or even sometimes during, but when you're done, you know that you just lived a little more and you just extended, biologically speaking and so forth too. But I think even just internally as a mindset, someone grows a lot. So when you bridge that with business, it just gives you more energy to do do more, to be more creative, to help others. And I think that sort of world of fitness, I realized, all right, well, what can I do that impacts a lot of lives and allows me to live my life, right? Sure. And gives me the opportunity to make money, make a living, and not take advantage of folks, and still feel like I've got a connection to to fitness, to business. Sure. At the same time. And I think I've been able to do that. A quote comes to mind, and I'm trying to put it together. But basically, it has to do with the fact that you bridge the gap between the sweat in business with the sweat in fitness. All coaches always say that sport is like life. Well, I realized that I was able to do that through running events, right, and fitness and marathons and event production. And so, I guess that's the connection. I don't know. As far as advice for someone, there's so many niches within the sport industry. I love bringing interns into the office a lot because they realize that it's a little bit, in our case, it's a little bit more than just a finish line or a start line. I know a lot of folks, even the runners that are out there, they're like, oh, you did escape, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it looks kind of complicated, but at the end of the day, it's a finish line, a start line, and you tell people to jump in the water, and they ride their bikes, and at the end, you give them a finish line, a medal at the finish line. And when you're in it, you're just like, damn, I didn't realize that there was like a barricade company, there's the t-shirt company, there's the permit folks, there are the cops, there's the logistics, the trucking, all that. And we've had a lot of folks that have come through our company here. We've gone through 2 acquisitions now. We're owned by Lifetime here. And all the people have come through here and sort of spun out and have become, the next barricade company, or have become the next temp labor company. Sure. And so looking within the sport and sort of, because everyone wants to be an agent, right? Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, you're in sports, you must be an agent, or you must be LeBron, like one or the other, and maybe some of the folks there coach and so forth. And then the rest just clean the stadiums, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much more to sport nowadays. It's such a big business, from equipment to to the events associated with sports. So I don't know, just go out there and I don't know, kind of look a little deeper than on the surface.
Well, and I wouldn't even take it to a higher level. That I think that the one thing is that fitness is that common denominator. Mm-hmm. And after I stopped racing in 2011, I got into CrossFit, and I'm going back into racing. I found that CrossFitters wanted to do...
Okay, you said you're going to do the Escape. Right?
I am going to do the Escape. I'm going on record. I'm already training for it.
Escape in September. For those of you that have never experienced one of the most unique races, and this is not a shameous plug. It's actually
plug it, dude. Plug it.
Obviously, it's more of a plug because he did it, and he can probably be a testament to this. But we actually leave you on an island. Yeah. Which actually, the island yesterday, I saw that there was like a lightning struck the island yesterday with all the rain here and the storms. But this island's in the middle of Biscayne Bay. We drop you off there at 4:45.
In the dark.
In the dark.
Freezing your butt off.
It is an experience. It's a shared experience because you're not doing it by yourself. You're going to be with another 1,000 or so swimmers. We'll leave you at this island, and we actually have you swim back to Miami. Thus, the name Escape to Miami.
That's right.
And then you've got a bunch of scenery available to you from the bike course, Julia Tuttle, the run on the MacArthur Causeway. It is a spectacular race. Those of you who are thinking of your first try, I know you're thinking, oh my God, you're gonna have me, on an episode of Survivor here for my first try. Yeah. But it really will captivate you for the sport. It's a tough race, but no better scenery.
It's the single greatest race in triathlon. I don't want to say race because you're the Miami Marathon. It is the single greatest triathlon. So just so you understand, you literally get on a boat with a few hundred other swimmers. Not a boat, a yacht. You get taken to the island in the middle of Biscayne Bay. In the dark, you got to jump in the water, swim to the island, wait for the sun to come up, then you hear the gun go off, and you got to swim 0.9 miles into shore to escape the island, get on a bike, cycle through Miami Beach, from down Edgewater to Miami Beach and back a couple times, and then you get to go for a great run. And and I love sports. I think it's interesting. You look at all the really the heavy hitters and the top producers. They're all into fitness. And it shows people on the other side. Hey, this person's able to commit and be dedicated to something. But I will tell you, when you get into fitness, whether it's triathlons or CrossFit or Orange Theory, whatever, people want to do business with like-minded people. Mm-hmm. So for realtors, that's a great way to turn fitness into business. And I know that I've done quite a few deals from that. Also from Starbucks too. Actually, my coffee love turned into business.
Well, the thing about running or fitness, and you want to call it just kind of a broad term, is that there's some special connection that happens when you sweat next to somebody,
sure.
right? And that connection is more authentic, more sincere. It's like, oh wait, that person's going through the same stuff I'm going through. So yeah, I think you want to find a meaningful a lead for a sale, or a meaningful client, or a long-lasting client. Probably somebody that, like you said, thinks like you and actually acts like you. They're actually out there taking care of their body, and that usually tells you a whole lot about how that person lives their life. So
and
why not associate with them?
Yeah, right? And not in a gym with your earphones on where you're not communicating. It's where you can do the run club with 300 people, and as you're going, talking to people, and hey, what do you do for a living? What do you do? Even though you're running, you still have the ability to talk, unless you're in that lead group going 6-minute miles.
Which is very few people.
very few people. Now, the Miami Marathon is one of the biggest races in the world. I think you have like 25,000, 30,000 people that race
for the weekend, yeah.
It's attracted some of the biggest runners in the world, even celebrities. What are they telling you about? Let's talk about Miami for a minute. What are they telling you about Miami that makes it such a special place when they come down?
I mean, look, I'm headed to Costa Rica in a week and a half to promote the Miami Marathon in San Jose specifically. Okay. And part of the reason we're going down there is because the Costa Rican runner has taken a liking to Miami. It's one of our other big countries,
sure.
that has made Miami it's one of its favorite stops. I mean, we've got Colombia, Mexico, Costa Rica, Ecuador, all within the top 5 as far as representation goes. But we're going down there, and in part it's because there's this affinity towards Miami from Latin America for
sure.
different reasons, obviously friends and family that might be here. And we've developed this reputation as being this sort of race of the Latin American culture. It's become a place where you can still run with your flag, still drape it around you on your way
sure.
into the finish line. And most folks are telling us that, I mean, to answer your question, that it just feels like home, right? And it feels like the place you're supposed to be. And I think, we talk about diversity in Miami and so forth, but when you see others embracing it from out of town, kind of what we kind of refer to as temporary residents, because
sure.
they do come in and they become residents of Miami. They almost feel like they belong here. They want to keep coming back, and they bring their friends and they bring their groups. And to say, I mean, Colombia had close to 1,000 runners coming in last year to Miami, and that's special. That means that we're doing something right here.
Sure.
I mean, I know there's a lot to complain about.
Yeah.
But it's certainly a place that folks from out of town, at least for those 3 or 4 days, are finding it like their mecca, their place to come celebrate fitness, running, and culture, because
sure.
there is this ability to retain your own culture. It's not like we come here and we're like, all right, we're going to impose our Miami way on you. At the end of the day, we let them bring themselves. I mean, we had the consulates out there. We had different groups represented sure. by their sort of country captains. And I mean, Miami's not the biggest marathon in the world, but I like to say it's one of the more welcoming cities for a marathon,
sure.
or a half marathon in this case. And we're going to continue. I mean, we're 18 years young. There's New York and the Bostons of this world and Londons of this world that are much older than us. I'd like to continue growing in our own unique way. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, you're going to be like like New York or like Boston or like Chicago." I said, obviously everyone, no denying, we'd love to have those numbers, but at the end of the day, we're going to be Miami. You can't pick up Miami and move it anywhere else, right? Nobody would want us, right? So I think the same with our race. Like, you can't have the Miami Marathon somewhere else.
Interesting. What I love most about that, and I ask this question a lot about what makes Miami so special, and you gave me goosebumps when you answered this, about it just feels like home. And I think that's a forgotten piece about Miami. Everybody looks to the taxes or the weather or the great properties, but they forget the foundation of this is their, it feels like home, and that's an emotional attachment that these people have to the city of Miami.
Yeah.
Now, we've referenced the Run Club, and I did the Run Club at a time in my life that I needed to be surrounded by others, and it helped me. It helped me spiritually back then. And it was a big part of my life, and I tell everybody that I know, you have to experience the Run Club. It's actually one of my favorite things about South Florida. And you get, we talked about it, he gets the population out in droves, like 300-400 people at some of them. And you have it now in South Beach, which is a fun one, West Kendall, Weston, Oak Cutler, the Gables, Kendall, Homestead, Doral, Brickell. So two-part question, because you are literally in the streets, physically on the ground almost every day. So two parts. First part is, what are these cities doing right that makes the Run Club so special? And what can the cities do to improve that maybe you can help our audience get involved in? Because as realtors, we're not only selling a property, we're selling the experience of living in a particular city. So what are they doing right, and what can we do to improve?
I mean, look, every city is doing something a little bit better than one another. I mean, for instance, we were founded, let's just say, in Miami Beach, right? The city of Miami Beach is home to the original, Run Club. It was the South Beach Run Club, which you probably came to back then.
Yes.
Nike helped me get off the ground. Yeah, that's right. Nike helped me get off the ground to go with Baptist Health, and that Run Club is, I'd say, a close partner of the city of Miami Beach. Oftentimes commissioners will come out and run with us. Commissioner Rick Ariola is one of them. We've had the mayor in years past come by. But one of the things with that particular city is that they seem to be catering to their pedestrian, to the safety of their cyclists, the safety of their runners. The roadways, the sidewalks are wide, not 18 different poles in the middle and bus stops and whatnot. They're really taking care of it in that sense. The track was recently redone. I shouldn't say recent, actually been a while, but it looks pretty new still. They just finished another connection between 5th and 3rd Street, so you don't have to cross as many roads. So I can't say they're only doing it for the Run Club, but they're doing things right,
they're getting their citizens on the street.
Yeah, and they're realizing that Miami is a 365-day-a-year outdoor place. We are more Miami the more we are outdoors, and the more outdoors we are, the more we are, special. We are, a place that should play outside all the time. And I think that city has definitely done it right throughout the years. I've seen it evolve. We meet at Lincoln Road, and every street or every sidewalk you take through, you feel like, all right, there's somebody paying attention here to the details. So the good cities pay attention to their details. And I can say the same about some of the other cities and the county. They're starting to get it, that to retain that talent living here, like in your case, you're selling, in some cases to out-of-towners and whatnot. They want to experience some of the same good, pedestrian ways and green spaces, the way that they have them in some of these other cities that we aspire, to emulate in a way. And I think we've got a ways to go, but I think they're realizing that this is important. It's not a luxury anymore. It's a necessary function of a city to have safe connections, lit sidewalks, safe environment for people to. We use the word recreate as if it was like, oh well, that's what you do when you don't, you're not working, right? Sure. And I tend to see it differently. I think it's the things you do so that your work is that much better, right? Sure. And you have a clearer mind. You're happier, like you said. You joined the Run Club to connect with others, and I think there's a bit of a part that the city or the county or government in this case needs to play to make sure that those spaces are hospitable and they're not afterthoughts. We think of our city sometimes. They sometimes think of parks and so forth as afterthoughts. And I always think, I'm like, no, that's your basic building block right now. Maybe 60 years ago, nobody was thinking that way. But right now, this is what is attracting people to buy real estate, stay here, and build their families here, or grow their families here.
So as a
that was question number one.
But that's a great point, right? Because that's part of what you're selling. Hey, you have this great home, you have this great yard, but you have this park where you can go run. You can run with the stroller. You can go biking. If fitness, I think people really underestimate the power that fitness can have in your life. We just brought in a nutritionist last week to speak to our agents. Because when you feel good internally, you're going to portray that. You're going to be better at sales. You're going to be happier. You're going to be better just all around, right? So for us, we're trying to really incorporate fitness into our company because I know the power that fitness has played a role in my life, and I think it plays a role. You have more energy to do stuff, all that.
Yeah, and I'll stop you there for a second.
No, please.
You hit a point that actually I gave a talk last week, and I made this point, which is one of Nike's signature mantras is co-founder of Nike's used to say that if you have a body, you're an athlete, and I think the same thing goes to, you can extend that a little bit, and you can say in business too, that if you have the brightest business mind in the world, and you look like you're about to fall over, right? I'm not so sure I'm gonna buy from you. Like, sure. I'd like to obviously you invest in a person first. I'd like to buy the whole person. Like, all right, does that person look, the entire part, right? And I'm not talking from a vanity standpoint, but are they taking care of themselves? Because if they're not taking care of themselves, what makes me think that they're taking care of someone else, right? And I think that says a lot about a person. We had, I think I'm glazed over it, but let me see how a person runs a mile. And I'm not advocating that everybody becomes a runner, although I think everybody can. But if I see how you run that mile, and I'm not talking about how fast, I'm talking about how you run it, which is usually linked to how fit you might be. That's probably the way you're living the rest of your life. Are you running it, begrudgingly? Are you, kind of dragging yourself? Sure. Are you, are you looking around distracted? That's the same way you're going to run your life, 100%. So yeah, I think that, the realtors you have out there, and you're encouraging them, the ones in your company, to be more fit. It's just going to make them that much more appealing to a buyer.
Well, it makes them a better human being, right? Yeah. And if you make them a better human being, they become better.
They live longer, and they make this place better.
Absolutely, right? And we get to sell more real estate, which is the goal. At least for me, I want to be in this business forever. Now, real quick, we're going to wrap up with 2 questions.
So far.
Where can viewers go to learn about the Miami Marathon, the Escape to Miami, and the run clubs?
Sure.
So let's start there. Where can they go for those?
Obviously the websites. You can look up the Lifetime Athletic events. Okay. We, like I said, or like you mentioned, we've got the Escape to Miami Triathlon has its own website. You can just Google Escape to Miami Tri. You've got Miami Marathon, which this year, actual title of the event is Lifetime Miami Marathon. Okay. We've gone through a few name changes, but right now we're going to be the Lifetime Miami Marathon. I know that everyone's talked about other sponsors along the way, but now we're an owner sponsor title. Okay. So actually, something related to your viewers, Lifetime is building their first club in South Florida. Well, I shouldn't say South Florida, but in Miami. Okay. It's actually going to be in the city of Coral Gables, but in Dade County. It's right off of US 1, and it's going to have live, work, and sort of play space.
Wow,
so that's and those of you who haven't seen what a Lifetime facility looks like, or a Lifetime club, they're all around the country. There's over 150 or 160 of them, and we're excited that Miami's going to have its first one. I mean, we've been owned now by the last 4 years by this company who operates these enormous high quality fitness facilities. And now we finally have one here, so we don't have to keep talking about it. We actually can touch and feel. And they're going to build a second one, I'm told, down south near the falls, and then there's a third one in the books for Palm Beach.
So you live there?
Yeah, you work. Yeah, it's a giant. That's the new concept. But the facilities throughout the country, some of them are just standalone clubs. Some of them are 4 stories with wine cellars and all sorts of cool stuff. It's not only like just a weightlifting place.
And by the way, you talked about wine. I think that one of the best parts about the Miami Marathon is you get that beer. That beer at the end is awesome.
But yeah, other events. We've got the Turkey Trot, which is Thanksgiving, and that's an event, sort of a good gateway for that person that isn't quite into the sport yet. It's and by the way, the message I want to send everybody is that this isn't about going to get your runner's card, right? Like, I'm a runner only. Do CrossFit, you can do your Orange Theories, you can go biking, you can do triathlons. I think we're so much more than just a runner, and I'm not knocking anybody that's just a runner, but I'm saying you could be even more than that. So those of you that are afraid, like, oh, do I need to wear some kind of badge or whatnot? You mentioned the run clubs, and Brickell, the Baptist Health Brickell Run Club. If you go out there, I'd say 80% of them, if they were stopped in the street and they were asked, "Are you a runner?" they're probably going to answer no. But they run every Tuesday night.
And how many people come out to that?
300-400 or so.
All right. So if you're a realtor and you need leads, every Tuesday night, Brickell Run Club, 300-400 people that you can talk to.
Yeah.
And they can't go anywhere unless they're a faster runner than you. Then you're stuck.
That's right. Other events that we have the South Beach Triathlon, which is kind of a sister race to the Escape to Miami, and that's the only tri that takes place in Miami Beach.
In January.
Yeah, and it's sort of like a reverse course from the. No, that's in April.
Oh, in April.
It's a reverse course from what you experience in the Escape. You bike on the MacArthur, and you bike actually on the Tuttle, but it all takes place on the beach side, not on the mainland side. And then we've got the 305 half. Actually, I was wearing the shirt today. I realized how cool. The 305 half is a very local, regional half marathon. About 3,000 or so runners. That event takes place in March, and certainly an event you should consider. And then one that we do outside of the 305 is the Sarasota half.
Okay.
That one's in November, and it's definitely another destination type
Sure.
of event. But all these events, you just Google those names, athletic events. You follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages. The Miami Marathon one kind of leads you to a bunch of these others. And then in addition to that, you want to find out a little bit more about the run clubs. The runclubnetwork.com is sort of where I house the sort of schedule. But I got to say, I mean, call it a schedule, but it's every single week. I mean, I get calls all the time like, are we running this week? Yeah,
rain or shine.
Rain or shine. We're there. Most of them operate 50 weeks a year. There's a couple that we skip. A couple holiday weeks, but 50 of the 52 weeks a year, we're out there waiting for you, and it's free. It has been now for almost 10 years, and it's sponsored by Baptist Health. Many of them are powered by Nike, which kind of gives it an element of the sport itself,
Sure.
Right? One of the world's greatest sporting companies. But yeah, I invite everybody to give running a shot.
Free networking.
Yeah, that's right. Free work.
Don't go to a networking an event with other realtors. You're not going to get any business out of them.
And you can't come dressed like this though. You gotta come dressed like a runner, right? That's the only. You don't have to get dressed nice.
I had other meetings. Otherwise, I tend to dress like my guest.
No, you're good.
I'm not wearing a jacket at least. Last question, and then we'll wrap up. And I asked this to all 52. Any book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation for the audience?
If Dave Lawrence was listening, he'd probably be upset because I don't read as much as I'd like to. But one book that I read a little while ago that I still kind of refer to all the time, I'm obsessed over the Everglades, right? Yeah. I think it's one of those things that we overlook as people living in South Florida. And there's a book called The Swamp, and it gives you a whole lot of backstory on how sort of the Everglades has evolved throughout the years and actually have become real estate plays that have affected it. But nonetheless, that book is cool. Those of you that want to learn a little bit more about the history of South Florida. And then the rest of the books, if I start throwing them out, everyone, they're all running related books.
No, but The Swamp is cool. You said something so on point that we forget. I mean, we're so focused on the East and the beach that we forget about the West and the Everglades.
I know, man.
And
it's something I discovered a little late in my life. I went to Belen, obviously, and we were like on the fringe. I mean, back then, 137th Avenue was kind of almost the end of the world. Now we can go all the way to to Chrome, and you can see the Everglades. But I feel like Belen at some point was part of the Everglades, which it was. But I was always enamored by the running on the levees of the South Florida Water Management canals, and it just fascinated me that there's this vast area of grass. Like, how cool is this? There's got to be more to it, and sure enough, like I've discovered, like especially down south near the Long Pine Key area, through that entrance of the Everglades. Some folks think the Everglades is only Shark Valley. I got news for you. There's a few more places than just that loop, although that loop is beautiful, especially at night. And then there's even further west. You go out to Big Cypress, or you go out to there's an area called Fakahatchee Strand that's beautiful. But go check it out, because it'll give you a different twist to Miami. Now, the mistake, and I think this is what happens, and just like running, like nobody tells you when to do it. But by the way, if you're going to start running, don't run at noon. Same thing kind of applies to visiting the Everglades. You don't visit the Everglades at noon in August, nor do you even want to go too close there in June, July, August, because the heat, the mosquitoes, the water and whatnot. So try to visit it during the winter months. I mean, we're at the tail end now, but the best advice I can give you, obviously go out with somebody, but just go out there and just pay attention to the simplicity of it.
Sure.
And we make Miami to be this complicated place, when in reality, it comes from the Everglades.
Sure.
It's a real simple place. Real simple, yet complex and ecosystem, but simple to kind of appreciate.
Well, what I love most about this interview, Frankie, and thank you, is that you've been able to turn people on to so much more that what Miami is about. Everybody, again, thinks clubs, nightlife, art, the arts and entertainment, which is a huge part, the beach, but there's so much happening in the streets of Miami, whether it be running or fitness or the Everglades. Frank, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Any parting words? I'm going to go behind the camera.
Yeah, we're good. Don't stop, Miami. Don't stop, Alex.
There you go.